Hi, this is OXDF, and today we're looking at the Advent of Code 2015, Day 11, Corporate Policy. I've solved these challenges years ago in Python, but I'm coming back to them because I'm trying to learn Rust, and this is my way of working through it. So let's go ahead and look at the challenge here. Santa password has expired. He needs to change a new one. So this paragraph basically says he's got a system where he just increments his password to the next valid password. And so he increments letters literally the same way you would numbers. So like XX becomes XY, becomes XZ, and then the Z rolls over to A, just like 9 rolling over to 0. And then, but when you roll that over, you increment the X goes up to Y, and so on. So it's just like a number to him. So we're going to need to know how to increment like that. Secondly, we have a new security elf who's got some rules in place, and there's 3 rules. We must include at least one straight of 3 increasing letters, so like A, B, C, B, C, D, C, D, E, but can't skip letters. A, B, D doesn't count. We're not allowed to have I's, O's, and L's. And then we must contain 2 different non-overlapping pairs of letters like AA, BB, etc. So with that, like I mentioned, I've already solved this years ago in Python, but here's the answer. But let's go down here. Here's the puzzle input right here, my starting password, the now expired one. So let's jump over. I guess we can talk strategy real quick. We're gonna create a password object that's just gonna hold a string. We're gonna create some functions, some methods associated with that object though, and they're gonna be, so we'll need one that increments. So we'll call it inc, and it's just gonna increment us to the next password. We're gonna need a function that checks to see if a password is valid, and then we're gonna need a function that says keep going, find me the next valid password. And so I think with those three functions, we'll basically have solved the problem. So let's jump over here into VS Code. I'm going to use my GenDay script here on day 11. I went over this script in detail in my day 0 video, but the short version is it goes ahead and pulls the input for me here. It also gives me a stub main.rs to work with where the input is read into data. Now I can start from here. I do like to, and I should probably just add this to the overall thing, because I don't think it'll hurt, but on days where there's single line, I like to add a trim here to make sure to get rid of any extra white space on the end. I'll try to remember to just add that to the template. So let's go ahead and create our password object. Struct password, and oops, did not mean struct password, and we'll call it pass, and that's going to be a string. I'm using a string here rather than a str because it's going to be simpler when it comes to borrowing and ownership and things like that. And it gives us what we need here. I'm going to go ahead and create an instance of it. And so to do that, I'm going to create a new function, impl string, fn new, and this new function is going to take s, which will be a pointer to a str, and it's not going to return anything. Oh no, that is going to return something. We're going to return a password like that. And so and then we just have to do password where the pass is s.toString like that. There we go. We now build up a string just like that, and we've got an extra parenthesis in there, or squiggly in there. What don't you like about that? Not impl string. My goodness. Impl password. All right, so we now can create a password. Let's go ahead and do that. So we can say let p equals password new data dot, and data, because data's already, we can see my plugin is already telling me my data is a pointer to a str. So we'll pass that in and we'll get a password object. We can test this out here, and we can come down here and say, oh, we just called it p. We'll save that there. And it's not going to be happy with me. So if I cargo run that, it's going to say, can't handle the default formatter. I can try the debug formatter, but I don't believe that's going to work either. It's not working there either, but it does give me this derived debug bit that if I copy that and put it right in front of my struct, now I can debug print it, as long as all the objects inside of it are debug printable, which the string clearly is. So here I've got password with the pass, with that being that thing. All right, increment. We need to be able to increment. So we'll do func inc. That's going to take in self, and it's going to be a mutable self. We're going to be changing ourselves, so we'll want to make it mutable. And it doesn't return anything. And so we'll say what's our way to do this? I don't want to just try to work with the string. In Python, it was very easy to just change characters in a string, etc. Here, I'm going to need to think of characters as characters. And so I'm going to go ahead and create an array, a mutable array called chars. I'm going to say that's, so I don't need that, equal to self.pass dot chars to give me the chars out of the string. Now, personally, I think a lot easier when I loop over things, looping left to right. So we're looping from the low to the beginning. And so I'm going to go ahead and reverse this, just knowing I need to reverse it back before I return any password. And I think, let's see, what is that returning me now? So that's returning me an iterator. And so I want this to be a vector. So I'm going to do a collect like that. And now I always thought of collect as like how you turn stuff into a vector, but it's actually so much more powerful than that. Collect can do all sorts of different things, different types of collections. And so I'm going to come here and specifically say, I want this to be a vec like that of, in fact, we can call it a vec of chars like that. And I think that'll work. Is that not how I do it? Oh, I'm missing a bracket. That's why. And you can see now that vec of chars shows up over here. So that worked out nicely. So now I've got my vector of chars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate over that. So I'm going to say for c in chars dot iter to get myself an iterator. And what I actually want to get, I want to get C and I want to get the index. So I'm going to say I, comma C in chars dot iter dot enumerate. That's good there. And so that'll give me now like the first character and the number 0, second character, number 1, etc. And what that's going to allow me to do is I'm going to say if C equals Z. So so we're starting at the beginning, which is the right side, but now it's reversed to the left. If it's a Z, I'm going to make this into an A. So I'm going to say chars sub I, not double equals A. And then I'm going to continue my loop. If it's not a Z, if I find anything else that's not a Z, I'm going to increment the current character and I'm going to be done. I don't want to keep going down the list. So I'm going to, every time I find a Z, I'm going to have to keep stepping deeper into the password, but I don't have to if I find anything else. So I'm going to say chars sub I is equal to chars sub I as U8. And so what I've effectively done here is I've taken a character and I've cast it over to an integer. The bits on the bits in the computer are the same 8 bits, but I've just now said treat this as an integer. And once I have it as an integer, I can say +1. I've incremented it. And now I can say as char. I can say no, never mind. Go back and treat it as a character again. It's kind of like running ORed in Python. And now I want to be done. I want to return. So I'm going to return. And I don't have to return anything, but I do need to update. I haven't actually changed anything in the self, right? So I want to do self dot password equals, and I have to convert this back now. So I'm going to say chars dot, I can't just do reverse like this. If I try to do that, it's going to yell at me that chars is not an iterator. That's what that's saying. So what we're going to do is we're going to say iter like that. And now if I save this, it's still not going to be happy. Oh, this isn't a function. Let's get rid of that. It's still not going to be happy. And now it's not happy because what I'm getting here is an iterator, and I'm trying to save it where I have a pass. We can run and see that. So expected a string, found a rev object. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and collect that. And this is where the power of collect comes in, because I can collect characters directly into a string like that. And now it's happy, mostly. What's wrong up here? Can't compare a pointer to a char with a char. Sweet. We will just dereference that. And now, what's the problem here? Char cannot borrow chars as mutable because it's also borrowed as immutable. Line 13 is where the immutable borrow occurs. Okay, so what if we clone that before we start using it? And that seems to fix that. If we run, we'll have some warnings so we don't use some stuff, but it looks like we're doing good. Let's test our inc function here. If we come down here between part 1 and part 2 and do p.inc, and then we come down here and print p again, and we're going to have to make that into debug print. Cannot borrow as mutable. We should make p mutable. P should be mutable because we're changing it. Cool. And so we have VZ, BX, KG, H. We go from B to C. We incremented. We can test let data equals, and we want to do some rolling over here. So like that. And run that again. And you can see now the Z goes to A, goes to A, goes to A, and then the A goes to B. So we are rolling over correctly. So our increment looks good. Okay, next part of the challenge. The next two pieces are we gotta make an isValid function, and we gotta make a function to get the next valid. So we'll start here. We'll do isValid, and that's gonna take self. It doesn't have to be mutable because we're not changing anything, and it's going to return a bool. And for right now, I'm just gonna set this to true. We're going to save this. So is valid, always true. All things are valid. And then we can do our function next valid. And that's going to take a mutable self because we're changing ourselves when we find it. We could set this up so it was not mutable and then we just return the next value, but I don't know. Okay, well, that'd be more like if we did functions and not objects here. And so let's think about how we want to do this. We basically are going to loop. We're going to say loop, and we're going to say self.inc, we're going to increment, and then we're going to say if self.isValid, return. And then that's it, we're done. Like that. So we're going to increment. If we're valid, we're done. If not, we're going to keep looping until we find one that is valid. And so for now, we can come down here, and instead of saying inc, we can do next valid. And right now, we're going to get the same thing because we go from HB to HC and everything is valid, so we're good. So all that's left to do now is to come in here and make our isValid function more cover these rules. And we got these three rules. I'm going to start with the middle one here because it's the easiest to implement. We can't have I, O, or L. So let's come up here and we'll say can't have I, O, L. So we'll say if self.pass.contains I, and then we can do or self.pass.contains O. We can do or self.pass.contains L. Return false. Now there's no I, O, or L in this, so we should get the same result here. But if we come down here and we say, I probably should just leave this line in, let data equals ABCD LLL, like that. And now, if we run that, cool. So actually, to get rid of all three L's, we actually had to increment up all the way until we got to the point where this last L, we went, LZZ, and then that became MAA, and the L's are gone. So I think that's working nicely. I think we're happy with that. Let's go ahead and grab the second thing. I guess we'll do the third one here. Must contain two different non-overlapping pairs of letters. So I'm going to use a regex to find this. And because to find pairs of letters, you need back references. We can't just use the standard Rust regex. I covered this in a previous video. If I remember, I'll put a little link up here so you can see it in detail, but we're going to use fancy regex. Like that, and we're going to import regex, and it's going to look just like normal regex. While we're here, we're going to use lazy static, like that, and both of these are going to need to go into our cargo.toml file. So we'll do fancy on dash. I always forget which one's which here. Regex equals, and we'll get whatever the latest is, and we'll do lazy static equals like that. Let's see if I did it right. I did do it right. Sweet. So now we have read that. We can do our regex. And so let's come down here and we'll say must have two different pairs. Okay, so first we'll use our lazy static. And the only reason we use lazy static is just that we don't want to recreate the regex object every time. So we're just going to do static ref re. We have to type that as a regex, and we'll say equals regex new, like that. believe that's what we want. Looks, I'm not sure why it's not picking up here. And then to find a pair, we're going to find any character. We're going to capture that character. Oops. And then we're going to use the backref to get the copy of that character. So we'll have that character and then that character again. And what don't we like about that? Lazy static, do I need a space there? Static ref re regex equals new regex. What are you unhappy about? Expected regex because of return type, but got a result. Oh, okay. So we just need to unwrap that. And we're good. Okay, now we've got our regex. So now we can say let caps, so captures, equals re.find iter. So we have like an iterator over all of the things we find. And we'll do self.pass like that. And it was nice enough to just add the pointer for me. So we'll take it and we'll save this. And caps is now a matches object. So to get a better feel for what we're dealing with here, why don't we do a print line debug print on caps like that. And now we will run this and we can see after we add the stuff in what a caps looks like. And so you can see here the last match here was none. So we actually had no match. And what I really want is I want to get back like a vector of all of the matches. And so I'm going to try to work through that a little bit. But first we really need to find something that has a match. So what can we do here? I want to see, I wonder if I can get cap matches, RE finds iter. If we do let x equal caps dot, can we just do as string? No, we don't. What is the type on that? It's a matches object. How do I get the thing out of a matches object? I bet we have to unwrap it. We have a bunch of them. We have an iterator here. So matches is an iterator. So let's map over that. So we can do dot map. Get rid of this. We don't need that. And map is going to take m, and we're going to get m dot unwrap. Let's see if we can unwrap the iterator and see if that helps. Oh, okay. So we can see it's nice enough to tell us here that what's coming into M is a result of a match and an error. And if we unwrap it, we now get the match, which is back to being an iterator, match iterator. And so now, can I do that as string? I can. So now I get an iterator over strings. So that's cool. That's what I want. I want to iterate over strings. And then I can come down here and say dot collect. Save that. And now it doesn't like that it's, what are we collecting here? So we can do vec of what are our vectors of strings? That. What if we run now? And cool, see that we have and we even have our repeated thing still in here, and so we see AA coming out of here. So that's our vector of strings. That's really nice. Now I actually don't want a vector of strings though, because that would be a problem if I have, let's come down here and show you, say, so if I have CCCB, like this, I'm going to see that that returns a vector of too long CC and CC. And what I really want to be able to do right now that I've got this vector, is I want to say if len caps is less than 2, return false. I guess I need semicolons here and here. And oops, I don't know why, that's very Python of me here. Not len. Get rid of that. So if the length of caps is less than 2, I want to return. But now I'm going to get tricked by this CCCC thing because those are not unique. So what I really want to do is, instead of using a vector, come up here and we'll do use standard collections hash set. We're going to make a set. And we're gonna use the versatility of our collect to say hash set like that. And now if we run the exact same thing, well, we don't get because we fail here, we don't actually get to the print, and we can see we don't take CC, we go all the way up to CCDD before we have a valid one. And that's exactly what we want to happen, so that's looking really good. So we've got 2/3 of it done. Let's get over to that last one. Must include 3 in a row, 3 characters that are in a row. So let's call this must include creating thing triplet. I don't know if that's really the right word, but we know what it means. I thought this was gonna be really hard, except for a day or two ago, a couple days ago, I was looking through the Itertools documentation and I found this super neat function that would have actually really helped me on the previous one. I forget what day it is, but I will try to link it right here. And when I did that, I was like, oh, this tuple window function is going to be great, and I'm so excited to get to use it again here. So what are we going to do? We're going to do for ABC in self.pass.chars, not char indices, chars dot tuple windows, like that. And we better, in order for that to work, we're going to need use Itertools, like that. And now we're going to have to add Itertools here, like that. Now we're back in main, and that's going to work. And so what's going to happen is, let's say my vector was 1, 2, 3, 4, and I said for A comma B in the tuple windows of that. I would get 1, 2, 2, 3, and 3, 4, and then it would stop. And so if I did ABC, I'd get 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, and then it would stop. It stops as soon as it can't find a full window, but it gives us each set of characters kind of as a window. So what that allows us to do here is we can say if, we're going to do our same thing as we kind of did before, A as U8, if that is equal to B as U8 minus 1, so if B is 1 bigger than it, and A as U8 is equal to C as U8 minus 2. So if I hit both of those things there, then I've actually found something good. So I want to return true. And if I make it all the way through my string, and none of my windows match that, then I'm gonna come down here and I'm actually gonna make this false. And now, we might just be done. My dummy password is not long enough to even attempt to find this, but let's get rid of this and go here and save this and run this. We really should be doing this as a release because it takes a minute. First make that set as release. And I don't know, we might be right there. I should fix this as well. Let's see. Part 1 equals P. Let's solve this challenge. Let's actually make my stuff make sense here. Next valid. Then we print P, and we'll do nothing for part 2. And should be cargo run. Pulling all the packages, and we have VZB XXYZZ. VZB XXYZZ. We got the right answer. And part 2 is actually super easy. It expired again. Find the next one. So all we got to do down here is do p.nextValid and P again. And if we run that, we're going to want our semicolon. And we get VZCAABCC. And that's the next password. So we got the next one right too. The one other thing I thought would be kind of cool to show, and this video might be a good place to do it, is I'm going to have to grab something out of the notes, but we can also add a function down here. You can see the way I'm debug printing password. If I want to control how to standard print an object, I can do that with, let me grab this heading information here, this stuff right here. I'm going to need some close. Okay. So I'm going to create a display object for password by calling the format function with this stuff. And I'm going to do write F like that. And then I can do like self.pass right there. And now what I've just done is if I come down here and no longer make this debug print, it's still going to actually work because now I can print a P object and you can see it prints like that. And just so you can see, like if I came up here, I can change, I could say like password, like that. If I wanted that, I can, I can make this print however I want. I put whatever text I want in there, but for the sake of this, I really just want to print the password. And so we'll do that and run, and it works. So, all right, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for sticking around with me until the end. I will talk to you next time. Have a good one.